Here are three habits that, in my opinion, are destroying the lives of modern Indian men. I won't waste a lot of your time, but I want to give a little bit of context about what I actually mean. So, these are more like traits or mindsets rather than actual habits. So, if you're thinking I'm gonna say like something like watching porn or fapping, these are obvious things that are ruining the lives of Indian men, but these are like actions. I don't mean them. I'm going to be talking about something, in my opinion, which is a bit more deep, which I think is much more deep rooted. And if you fix these, then more shallower things like fapping and, you know, talking to degenerate people, getting into degenerate habits, all these things I think will get resolved once you fix these deep rooted problems. Right? So if you have any of these traits, any of these mindsets or limiting beliefs, I need you to understand that these are self-imposed, right? So you created these in yourself. Don't blame anyone for them, right? Don't blame your parents, don't blame your friend group. Take responsibility, and I will share with you how you can take action to eliminate these things, to eliminate this weak mind of yours, right? So if that sounds interesting, if that is something that you want to work towards, I can help you out. Right. So the number one thing that I think is ruining the lives of modern Indian men is ego. And I'll explain in a short while what exactly I mean by that, but a little bit of a story before that. So back when I was in 11th, 12th, I was fighting with my parents every single day, regularly, consistently. And they were always salty to me. My mother would not look me in the eye when she would be serving me food. My father would not be sitting next to me ever. And by all means, like, it was not their fault. Like, the entire thing was my fault. But they were not the only one being salty. Like, I was being an asshole all the fucking time. Like, my father would walk into a room that I'm sitting in and I'd just walk out. And I would piss him off. And I would just not talk to my mother for days. All of this was because of a girl. And I feel pathetic, like talking, like, I feel pathetic, like having to relive this time, but I was a bitch back then. The main problem, there were a lot of issues back then, but the main problem that my parents had with me, was that I was spending way too much time on my phone. I was spending a lot of time chatting with my girlfriend on video calls, and I mean a lot, like up to 8 hours a day. At least. Now, I know a lot of you will like write some hate, something like simp in the comments, but that needed to happen to me so that I can become this person right now that I am. But anyways, back then I was sort of a bitch. And the reason I fought my parents was because they wanted me to spend more time with them and not on the phone with some other chick. And I wanted to spend more time with her because I was in a relationship with her. And as the man in the relationship, I felt the need to protect the relationship. And so I fought with my parents a lot. Every time they would ask me to hang up the video call, I would just go outside the house and just talk on the street. And it was very brutal. It was very bad. These 2 years of my life were like hell. And it was completely my fault. And I'm going to explain you why. I hate calls. I hate talking. That might sound contradictory because right now what I'm doing is talking. Like, the career path that I chose is talking to a fucking camera, not even person. But like, this is like self-improvement to me. Doing something that I don't like, forcing myself to do something that I don't like, but for a meaningful purpose, right? This means something. I'm providing value to you, and I'm providing value to myself. I'm teaching myself skills, right? Video calls and meaningless conversation have, like, in my brain, they are evidently meaningless. I don't like doing unnecessary things. I like to live a very simple life. So anything that is meaningless is just my brain just denies it. My brain just makes me hate that. That's why studying was so hard for me, because traditional education, in my opinion, is meaningless. So think about this. I was fighting with my parents every single day for being able to do something that I hated, right? And it was all because of my ego. See, my brain was telling me something very smart. I've always been very smart. So my brain was telling me that there is something that I don't want to do. I don't want to be talking to this woman all the fucking time, but she insisted that we need to talk because it's important to sustain a relationship, which was bullshit. But she insisted that we talk every single day for hours, and I didn't like that. I hated it, but I still did it because I wanted to do my part to sustain the relationship. And my brain said that I don't want to be talking to this girl, not to this extent, like not this much. And my parents don't want me to talk to this girl. Maybe I can just manipulate her and tell her that I'm not going to call you as often, I'm not going to do video calls as often, just because my parents don't want me to. And that would have been fine. Maybe it would have caused some fights between me and the girl, but that would have been like the smart thing to do. Or maybe I should have just cut ties with her back then because it wasn't working out with my parents, which would have been the best decision. But instead, what I did was I chose to listen to my ego, which said that basically it's my phone, it's my girlfriend, it's my life, and it's my decision. So I will do whatever the fuck I want with my time, with my phone, with my girlfriend, and with my life. So I chose not to listen to my parents and I listened to my girlfriend instead. And look what listening to my ego got me. 2 years of a very toxic relationship and a very, very bad breakup at the end of it. Like, I was thinking it's gonna be a long-term relationship, but it obviously wasn't. It was unsustainable. I was doing something that I hated every single day. We were not compatible. It was nobody's fault, we were just not compatible. And a very fractured relationship with my parents that I had to rebuild. I had to regain their trust, their love, their respect. I had lost so much of their respect. I was becoming such a pathetic loser. Like, I was getting so feminine because I was doing something that I hated by listening to a woman. So that made me a pathetic loser. Right now, I have a very extremely healthy relationship with my parents because I valued their relationship, because I valued their trust and I gained their trust. I worked hard to regain their trust, their respect. Right now, if I tell them that if I make a very big decision about my life and I tell them about it, they'll respect it. Right now, what I'm doing, they respect it. They believe in me. They believe in my capabilities. I told them that I don't want to do college, I want to drop out, I want to do this instead. I told them my entire plan that I haven't told you yet. And they respected me for it. My father and my mother. My father once threatened, back when I was in 11th, 12th, when this fighting stage was happening, my father once threatened me to kick me out of my house. And now he asks me for advice about his business. Like, he asked me for his advice for his YouTube channel. He asked me for advice about family decisions. He includes me as like an adult member of the family. All that changed because of a shift in my mindset. I stopped listening to my ego. Because if you want to sustain a family with parents that are elder than you, like if you're a teenager and you're looking at me right now, You're listening to me, you're watching this video, you're probably a teenager, 18 to 25, somewhere between that. Your parents are older than you, right? Like, if you have parents, your parents are older than you. You should at least respect them for that. Like, we're not white, we're not Western people, we're Indian. Our culture sustains on respect. Our culture is based upon respect. Respect of elders. Why won't you respect your parents? Why won't you respect their decisions? Why won't you respect their opinions, their advice? You should listen to your parents. I know that sounds very unorthodox coming from a YouTuber, like a self-improvement YouTuber, but I know I've been telling you not to listen to your parents, like about career advice and all that stuff. That's because if your parents are not leading the life that you want, then you probably shouldn't take life advice from them. But if they're telling you about the mistakes they've made and they don't want you to make that mistake, you should probably listen to them, right? Like, you listen to me, I'm telling you about the mistakes that I've made, and I want to make sure that you don't make those mistakes. Your parents are doing the exact same thing. Why won't you listen to them? Why would you listen to some random stranger? Really think about this and work really hard to eliminate your ego, because the faster you do that, the quicker you do that, the more stronger your bond with your family is going to become. The stronger your bond with your parents is going to become. Fuck family. Like, you don't have to make everybody in your family happy with you. Just your parents is enough. Just your parents is more than enough. So make sure that at least you have your parents' support in everything that you do. Make sure you have your parents' blessing for every relationship that you get into, because they know which relationship is bad for you. My father thought that I was being pathetic, and now I understand. Like, if I saw my son on a video call 8 hours a day, like continuously on video calls, just talking to some random girl, that would be so pathetic. I'd be ashamed. I would be ashamed. Like, I'm surprised my father didn't beat the shit out of me. I genuinely will beat the shit out of my son if all he does all day is do a video call with some random chick. Like, that is not being masculine. That is not even being a man. That's just being a fucking simp. That's like Simp Simulator 24/7. I'm very ashamed to accept this, but I would genuinely, like, I'd be scared. Like, when my phone would be about to die, I'd get scared, because my girlfriend would message me and then I won't be able to reply, and then she'll get worried until she'll like give me those, those continuous messages, like 10-15 messages. Are you okay? Where are you? I'd be scared that she'll do that and I'd have like 17 missed calls. So I will keep my phone charged all the time. Right now, I don't even give a fuck. Like, I barely use my phone. I don't charge it in 3-4 days. My mother puts it on charge because she feels bad for the phone. She's like, 2 दिन से 3% पे है, इसको charging पे लगा. It wasn't her fault. As a man, you need to take responsibility for your own problems, your own actions. Yes, she insisted that we talk every single day for long periods of time, but I agreed. Yes, she insisted that it was important for the relationship, but I still fought my parents. That was my decision. That was my mistake. That was because I listened to my ego instead of listening to what my brain said, instead of what would have been the best decision to make. So oftentimes, actually all the times, listening to your ego, and this is just an example, I'm not just talking about your parents, I'm not just saying that you need to be careful and you need to listen to your parents. I'm saying that you're going to ruin relationships, you're going to ruin your life if you keep listening to your ego. Best thing you can do is eliminate your ego. And that comes with humility, that comes with accountability, that comes with understanding that you're not the best, that you're not even a man. That comes with understanding that you have so much more growth potential. Like, I have so much more growth potential right now. But that's wasted if I keep listening to my ego and doing stuff that I'm not supposed to do just to satisfy my ego. Think of ways you can ruin your life with ego. Ego lifting. Ego lifting is lifting more than what you're capable of, doing half partial reps. You can get hurt, you can get injured, so you can never train ever again. So many bad things can happen because you listen to your ego. I really hope that you're not taking this and you're not like defending yourself. No. My girlfriend is not like that. No, my best friend doesn't, my girl best friend doesn't make me do stuff like that. When I get a girlfriend, I won't talk to her all fucking day. I'll just text. Whatever cope you have in your mind right now, whatever incident that you're trying to justify in your mind right now, it's not worth it. It's not worth ruining your life. It's not worth making your parents' life harder. It's not worth setting a bad example for your younger brother or younger sister. I think of the example I was setting for my younger bro. Like, he was watching me be pathetic every single day. Think of how much respect I lost back then. And it took me so long to gain that respect back. But I identified that I had a problem, I had an issue. I fixed it. So I gained that respect back and then some. With my parents, with my brother. I really hope that this video does something for you and that you can also possibly eliminate some of your ego, at least start working towards that. The second most common mistake that I see people making, that I see young Indian men making, is not respecting our culture enough. So if you're watching this video until this point, I want to establish a common bond between us, right? So you're probably an Indian man between the ages of 18 to 25, and you are probably from the Sanatana Dharma. And if you're not, then I'm going to be talking about our culture a bit. So if you're not from our culture, maybe you can skip ahead, right? So I remember after finishing school, I was getting a lot of degenerate habits. So I got a Netflix subscription. Like after 12th, I hadn't even gotten the results yet, so I didn't know if I had gotten the 85 result or not. But I wasn't worried about that. I was having fun. I was enjoying my life. I got a Netflix subscription. I was watching TV all day. Was playing online games. I was eating shit food. I was not even working out. Finally, my father saw how pathetic I was being, and now that I look back, I was 100% being pathetic. He did the 100% did the right thing. He got me a gym membership. He said, at least do one productive thing whole day. At least take care of your health. That's what he literally told me. And so I started going to the gym, and I slowly invited my friend to also come with me. He's a very old friend of mine. I know he's my best friend. His name is Dave. He's probably watching this video right now. So very unexpected thing happened while I was going to the gym every single day with Dave. So our relationship, mine and Dave's, it's very weird. Like, we don't talk for months, and then we'll just hang out one day and it would be like we just met yesterday. And so we were not on a very regular basis talking, and we just started regularly talking because we were coming to the gym, working out every single day together. Not every single day, he wasn't as consistent as me. He would miss an entire week or some shit like that. He's probably smiling right now, he's watching this video. But so he was not that consistent, but we were still meeting more often than before, right? So we started to get to know each other better because we have been friends since 9th, since we were in 9th class, but we don't talk that often, so we didn't really know. We got to update each other on our lives a bit more. So he would tell me about things that he would be doing, and I was really fascinated about this one thing that he was doing. He was reading Hanuman Chalisa every single day. he would go to Hanuman Mandir every Tuesday. And I don't know why, what happened, but that particular habit in him seemed very attractive to me. Like, I'm not saying this in a gay manner. Like, the thing that he was doing, I really respected him for doing that. And I also wanted to do that. And thus, I started to read Hanuman Chalisa every single day because my mother has been nagging me for reading Hanuman Chalisa for a very long time. And so I started doing that, and my mother was very happy. My grandmother was very happy. Everybody was very happy with that. And there was no side effect of this habit, so there was no reason why I wouldn't do the habit. So I started to build the habit of reading the Hanuman Chalisa every single day, and it sort of caused a snowball effect. Like, reading Hanuman Chalisa every single day caused me to bring Hanumanji into my life more. So I'd be reading Hanuman Chalisa every single day. And it's in Avdi, right? So it's not in Sanskrit, so it's not very hard to understand what is written on that. When you read it enough times, you slowly start to understand what these words mean. They're just a bit twisted. They're basically in Hindi, but they're just a bit twisted. So you have to it takes a while for you to process what it means. But slowly you start to understand these things. And a lot of questions came into my mind about Hanumanji, about his life. And so I started searching about him on YouTube. And I got so many informative videos. I started to listen to Akshath Gupta's interviews. I started to listen to Beer Biceps, Ranveer Alavadia's podcast about spirituality and religious matters, and Hanumanji more specifically, about Ramayana. I started watching the Doordarshan wala Ramayana, and it just fascinated me so much. Like, it was like I had seen all these things before, I knew all these things before, but these things just resonated in me so much more this time. Something very different happened, something very peculiar happened. It was as if like Hanumanji actually wanted to enter my life this time. Like, he was calling me, I was not trying to look for him. This was just natural curiosity that led me to discover more about him. And the more I discovered about him, the more I learned things about him, the more I learned about his personality, his way of life, how much love he had for Sri Ram. All of that resonated with me so much. Like, I started to idolize him so much. And slowly I also got into I also had some selfish desires. So I also learned that if you want to be disciplined, if you want to make good progress in the gym, if you want to be disciplined in life altogether, if you want to be like a good disciple to someone, then Hanumanji is the right god for you to pray to. Hanumanji is the right god for you to fall in love with. And that's exactly what happened to me. Like, naturally. I naturally had an inclination towards Hanumanji. It was very weird, it was very peculiar, but it was very evident and obvious that Hanumanji was calling to me. And if you're watching this, if you're still watching, you're probably not an atheist. So you're probably not thinking that I'm bullshitting right now. And I promise you that I am not. If you just allow any deity to enter your life, they will change your life. If you're really truly disciplined enough, if you're not degenerate, if you have the right habits, if you have devotion in your heart, then they will help you. This is our culture. This is what needs to be cool. Not being an atheist, not disrespecting God, not disrespecting our gods, not questioning gods. That is not cool. This needs to be cool. Fasting on Tuesdays, going to the Hanuman Mandir every Tuesday, saying Jai Shri Ram everywhere. This is what is the heart of our culture. And so many people are diverging away from this. So many people are just becoming atheists because they think it's cool. It's not cool, it's stupid. The older you get, the more mature you're gonna become, the more understanding you're gonna have of this world and how things work, how the world works. You're going to understand a lot of things and you're not going to be an atheist. I have nothing against atheists. If you're an atheist, by all means, do what you like, do what you love. I have nothing against you. But don't tell me to also be an atheist. Don't try to justify being an atheist to me. You do you, let me do me. I'm not going to convert people from being an atheist to being a devotee. But if you already believe in God, if you think that God can help you, then let me tell you this, let God enter into your life. Allow yourself to be attracted to a different God, because gods have a very weird way of manipulating us. You don't know which God you're you're unconsciously, subconsciously attached to. Like you don't know which God your soul is attracted to naturally, but you're going to discover that in your lifetime. And the earlier you do, the more benefit it's going to be for you. So I would highly recommend that you think about this. So if what I've said to this point resonated with you and you understand what I'm talking about, here's an actionable step for you. Watch Ramayana, like from multiple sources. Watch all the movies except for Adipurush. Don't watch that shit. Any other version of Ramayana is good. Any animated version is good. All animated versions are very good. Actually, they're like made for children. They're made for informing children. I recommend you also watch the Doordarshan version. It's a very long series of episodes, and they're very informative. They're very good. So I recommend you do that. After when you're gonna be watching all these things, you're gonna feel a natural inclination to research about Hanumanji, and I recommend you let yourself research about Hanumanji. Like let that be a part of your self-improvement journey, because that is going to help you. I promise you. Nothing bad is going to happen when you research about Hanumanji or any other god for that matter. Okay. So research about Hanumanji, watch as many episodes of Akshath Gupta, learn as much about Hanumanji as you can, try to idolize him, try to see it as your mentor, try to learn from him, try to embody his personality, his traits. Hanumanji is the epitome of self-improvement. Like Jamban told him once and he improved himself like on the spot. Imagine that. Like to me, it's very fascinating. So please, I recommend you do that. Other than these two things, researching and watching things about him, I recommend you listen to Sundarkand once and Hanuman Katha. Hanuman Katha is like my favorite song. I'll tell you, it's personal thing, but I'll still tell you. My Nanaji, my grandfather, he passed away during COVID, but he used to love Hanuman Katha. Every single day every single time he would get on his car, he would play Hanuman Katha. Every single time we would come over to his place and he would be dropping us back, he would be playing Hanuman Katha. And it's just a very beautiful bhajan if you understand what it means. So I recommend you do all these actionable things. And this is a choice. This is a personal choice. Actually, none of this is important. Like Hanumanji in your life is not, like I can't impose that on you, right? If he doesn't call you, then if you don't get attracted to him, then I can't do anything about that. But I really recommend you that you let yourself be attracted, you let yourself naturally get more curious and learn more things about him. Try to idolize him, try to think like him, try to become more like him. And I promise you this is going to change your life. The third and final mistake or bad habit that I think are ruining the lives of young men these days is not taking responsibility for their own problems, for their own failures. I see this all the time. Kids blaming their parents for not getting them into that college, for not getting them that particular degree, for not loving them enough, for beating them as kids. That gave them trauma. If you're a girl, I can't speak for you because I have nothing in, like I'm not a girl, so I can't speak for you. That simply is that. But if you're a guy and you're blaming your parents for stuff like that because you have trauma, because they didn't do something for you, because if you're saying basically that your parents ruined your life, fuck you. Fuck you. Blaming, like harassing an old couple because of your own fucking failures. That's next level pathetic. And I think if you're watching this, you're probably not one of them, right? You're thinking this, you're probably not one of them. You don't blame your parents for ruining your life. You agree that it's pathetic to be telling your parents that they ruined your lives, telling your parents that they should have done this, they should have done that it's their job. You agree, but you still blame them, don't you? Like there must be something that you blame them for. Maybe your dad used to beat you as a kid. Maybe you didn't get into that school. Maybe your parents made you repeat a particular class. Maybe they got you into school where you were bullied. There's still something small, maybe not as big as you ruined my life, but there's still something that you blame them for, right? And I say this considering you like my literal brother. This is what I would tell my literal brother if he thought the way you're thinking right now. Your parents were literally growing up as you were. I don't know why men think that way. Like literally all men think this way. That your parents are somehow supposed to be perfect. Your parents are also allowed to make mistakes. They're allowed to learn from their mistakes. Your parents were also literally growing up with you. They were also learning life. They were also experiencing new things as you were too. They didn't get you with a manual. This is how you raise kids. Look at that. That's now how life happens. And you can give me like a gay little cute response like, I didn't ask to be born. Like you can say, if they weren't experts in raising kids, maybe they shouldn't have had me. Like get fucked, bro. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like what the fuck is wrong with you? Why have some respect for your parents? Why are all brown kids trying to act white these days? You're supposed to respect your parents. You're supposed to understand this, that they were not supposed to be perfect. Like imagine if Elon Musk said this, right? I didn't ask to be born. My childhood should have been perfect. Imagine Shah Rukh Khan saying that. Like I didn't ask to be born. I shouldn't have been born. Like it sounds stupid from like hearing this from successful men, right? Listening to this coming out of the mouths of very successful, very talented, good men. It sounds weird. But when you're a failure, at least in your own head, you're a failure. And you're blaming that on your parents. You're saying that because I am inadequate right now because something that you did. You're literally deflecting. Deflecting is a coping mechanism. It's a psychological term. You have a psychological problem. I studied this in 11th and 12th. The act of blaming another person for your own mistakes or shortcomings rather than accepting the blame or criticism yourself is called deflection. This type of defensiveness as a coping skill is commonly used to angle or direct the focus or blame away from ourselves. This is exactly what you're doing. You're blaming someone else for your own shortcomings. Why don't you just take responsibility for yourself? Why don't you just say, maybe I was wrong? Maybe there was something I did wrong. Why don't you just forget about your child? Like, why don't you just make an agreement with your own head that fine, if I am a failure, if my mind thinks right now that I'm a failure, I will work towards that. I will work to improve myself. I will get better at whatever it is that my mind thinks I'm inadequate right now. My mother used to beat me as a child. And I had trauma. But as soon as I made the mindset shift, my mother used to beat me like very aggressively, bro. I don't want to talk about the individual incidents, and there are plenty, and I remember all of them very evidently. I had like proper trauma, right? But I don't want to talk about that right now. I just want to tell you that as soon as I made the mindset shift that my mother is allowed to make mistakes. She was also growing. She was also learning how to raise a kid. I was the first kid. She was also learning how to raise a kid. She made a mistake. It's fine. And honestly, now that I think about it, like if I were in my mother's place, I would probably beat the shit out of me too. Like I was an asshole kid. As soon as you make that mindset shift, you're gonna be so much more happier. You're gonna become so much more of a high value man. Because the more you victimize yourself, you're gonna become a loser. And I'm only speaking to men right now. So please stop blaming your parents for your own mistakes. Stop blaming your parents for your own failures. Your failures are just that, your failures. Your parents do not deserve the hate that they're getting. Start acting brown. Stop watching white kids blame their parents and think that's cool and do the same. It's not. Respect your culture, respect your parents, listen to what they're telling you. Understand that they were growing as a person when they made those mistakes. Forgive them, move on. Like you're literally clinging to the past because you're unable to change your future. You can give me 1,000 arguments and I'll give you 1,000 arguments against that you're just being a loser. You're just giving yourself excuses. You're just afraid of changing your life. You're afraid of getting uncomfortable. That's why you're blaming your parents. Or whoever it is that you're blaming actually. You can change your life. It's in your hands. Past you cannot change. Nobody can. But the future you can. And the future you is depending on you to do exactly that. I really hope that you learned something from this video, and I really hope it resonated to the right audience as well. I am building a community of high value men or men who want to become high value men. I post self-improvement content every single week consistently, and I think I can really help you in your self-improvement journey. And if this video helped you, please subscribe to my channel so you can become a part of this community and so I can gather more men like us. I'll see you in the next video.